In a pivotal moment for the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that Ukraine is prepared to accept a 30-day ceasefire, placing the onus on Russia to respond. Speaking from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia after talks with Ukrainian officials, Rubio emphasized the ball is now in Russia's court. If they say no, then we'll unfortunately know what the impediment is to peace here. This statement marks a significant shift in the diplomatic landscape as Ukraine appears ready to halt hostilities in pursuit of negotiations. Rubio's assertion came after Ukraine's decision to engage in discussions about a potential ceasefire, which has been a long-standing demand in the international community aimed at alleviating the suffering caused by the protracted war. The U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz supported this sentiment, noting that the focus has shifted from whether the war will end to how it will conclude. The Ukrainian delegation today made something very clear, that they share President Trump's vision for peace, he stated, indicating a unified approach among U.S. and Ukrainian leadership. However, the Russian response to such proposals has been markedly defiant. Konstantin Kozachev, a prominent Russian lawmaker, stated that any negotiations would proceed on Moscow's terms, reflecting a stark contrast to the U.S. position. Russia is advancing in Ukraine and therefore it will be different with Russia, he insisted, underscoring the Kremlin's unwavering stance amidst ongoing military operations. The backdrop of these diplomatic overtures is a series of intense military engagements. Just hours following Ukraine's announcement of readiness for a ceasefire, Russian forces launched airstrikes on Kyiv, prompting air defense systems to engage. The Ukrainian mayor Vitaly Klitschko confirmed that attacks were met with resistance, reinforcing the urgent need for a pause in hostilities. This latest development in the conflict comes amidst escalating military actions and a renewed focus on U.S. involvement in Ukraine's defense. The U.S. government is also reportedly considering a controversial minerals deal that could allow it to secure a 50% stake in revenue from Ukraine's mineral resources. This proposal, championed by former President Trump, aims to provide economic incentives that could bolster security guarantees for Ukraine. Internationally, reactions have varied, with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer lauding the ceasefire proposal as a remarkable breakthrough. He called for collective efforts to secure a lasting peace and indicated plans to convene a meeting of world leaders to discuss the next steps. Starmer's remarks highlight the continued global engagement and interest in resolving the conflict, emphasizing that any sustainable peace must include the perspectives of European allies. As the battlefield dynamics continue to evolve, with Ukraine launching its largest drone attack on Moscow just days prior, the situation remains precarious. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha indicated that discussions regarding peace must involve European partners, asserting no decisions on the long-term security of Europe without Europe. As the international community watches closely, the coming days will be critical in determining whether the ceasefire proposal can pave the way for a genuine dialogue or if the conflict will descend into further violence. The ongoing military actions and geopolitical maneuverings underscore the complexity of achieving a lasting resolution. With high stakes at play, both sides must navigate a landscape fraught with challenges to reach a sustainable peace. The implications of these developments will undoubtedly shape the future of U.S. foreign policy and the broader geopolitical landscape in Europe. In a tumultuous period for the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth finds himself under intense scrutiny as family legal battles and policy decisions intertwine in the public eye. Recent developments highlight not only the controversies surrounding Hegseth's past conduct but also the broader implications of his leadership in shaping military policies. On December 4, 2024, Penelope Hegseth, Pete Hegseth's mother, made a heartfelt appearance on Fox and Friends to defend her son amid revelations of a troubling email she had sent in 2018 where she labeled him an abuser of women. This email resurfaced as Hegseth's nomination for Secretary of Defense was being challenged, particularly by female senators within the Republican Party. In her televised plea, Penelope implored President-elect Donald Trump and the senators not to be swayed by the media's portrayal of her son, asserting, "I really hope that you will not listen to the media and that you will listen to Pete." Despite her defense, Hegseth faces a precarious confirmation process requiring the support of at least 3 Republicans to counter a unified Democratic opposition. The backdrop to this familial defense is a growing list of allegations against Hegseth, including accusations of sexual assault and concerns regarding his drinking habits during his tenure at Fox News. These allegations have prompted some senators such as Joni Ernst and Cynthia Lummis to express hesitancy about supporting his nomination. Compounding the situation is a recent exposé by The New Yorker which chronicled Hegseth's tumultuous leadership at veteran advocacy organizations, further complicating his path to confirmation. While Hegseth's personal controversies unfold, his actions as defense secretary have also sparked significant legal challenges, notably regarding military policy. A federal judge recently criticized the Justice Department for its handling of Hegseth's statements on banning transgender individuals from military service. During a court hearing, U.S. District Court Judge Ana Reyes demanded a retraction from Hegseth after he tweeted that transgender troops were disqualified from service without an exemption. Reyes's pointed remarks underscored the legal complexities surrounding Hegseth's policy directions, which have drawn the ire of trans rights groups seeking to halt the ban. Moreover, Hegseth's directive to suspend civilian travel has led to operational disruptions in military recruitment programs. The Military Entrance Processing Command has reported closures and reduced hours at testing sites, raising concerns about the accessibility of the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery ASVAB for potential recruits. With many testing locations situated far from potential enlistees, the logistical challenges could hinder recruitment efforts at a time when the military is striving to recover from previous shortfalls. In a bid to streamline software acquisitions, Hegseth has also mandated the use of the software acquisition pathway for Pentagon procurements, emphasizing the need for the military to adapt swiftly in a rapidly evolving technological landscape. This directive aims to enhance the department's operational capabilities but faces scrutiny regarding its implementation. As Hegseth navigates these multifaceted challenges, the implications of his leadership will continue to unfold. The outcomes of his confirmation battle, ongoing legal disputes, and the effectiveness of his policy initiatives will shape not only his legacy but also the future direction of the U.S. military under the Biden administration. With the stakes at an all-time high, all eyes will be on the Pentagon as it grapples with internal and external pressures in the coming months. In a provocative television appearance that has raised eyebrows across the medical community, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services, endorsed beef tallow as a healthier cooking alternative during a segment on Fox News, as he sat down with host Sean Hannity. The health secretary indulged in a double cheeseburger and fries cooked in beef tallow from the popular chain Steak and Shake. This unconventional promotion of a traditional cooking fat comes at a time when Kennedy is facing scrutiny for his handling of vaccination policies amid a measles outbreak in Texas. Kennedy's endorsement of beef tallow, while accompanied by a critique of seed oils, has drawn backlash from health professionals who argue that such claims lack scientific backing. "We are poisoning ourselves, and it's coming principally from these ultra-processed foods," Kennedy stated during the segment. He emphasized President Trump's desire for radical transparency, encouraging companies to revert to traditional ingredients. However, experts caution that Kennedy's views on dietary fats contradict established guidelines from organizations like the American Heart Association (AHA), which advocate for the use of unsaturated vegetable oils over saturated fats such as beef tallow. A 2017 review from the AHA indicated that substituting saturated fats with unsaturated oils could significantly reduce cardiovascular disease risk comparable to benefits achieved through statin medications. As Kennedy touts the supposed health benefits of beef tallow, he is simultaneously navigating a public relations challenge regarding vaccination efforts. Texas is currently experiencing a measles outbreak projected to expand rapidly, raising concerns among healthcare providers about vaccine hesitancy. Measles, known for its high contagion rates, was declared eliminated in the U.S. in 2000 largely due to effective vaccination campaigns. However, misinformation and fears surrounding vaccines, exacerbated by discredited studies linking vaccines to autism, have contributed to a resurgence of the disease. Kennedy's statements during the Fox News segment included claims that the measles vaccine contributes to the same complications as the virus itself. A perspective that lacks comprehensive context. Medical professionals have repeatedly highlighted that the risks of vaccine side effects are significantly lower than the dangers posed by the virus itself. For instance, the incidence of encephalitis, a severe complication associated with measles, is approximately 1 in 1,000 infections, whereas it occurs in 1 in 100,000 vaccinated children. This intersection of dietary advocacy and vaccination policy raises critical questions about the responsibilities of public health officials and their role in disseminating accurate health information. As Kennedy's tenure unfolds, the implications of his messaging, both regarding nutrition and vaccination, could have lasting effects on public health perceptions and behaviors. As the situation develops, the focus will remain on how Kennedy balances his controversial stances with the pressing need to address public health crises effectively. The response to the measles outbreak, alongside the broader conversation about dietary practices, will be pivotal in shaping the discourse around health and wellness in America. The coming months will reveal whether Kennedy can navigate these treacherous waters while fostering trust in public health initiatives. In the wake of her Senate confirmation as Attorney General, Pam Bondi made a bold pledge to depoliticize the Justice Department (DOJ), promising to uphold the integrity of federal law enforcement by strictly adhering to the law and the facts. However, less than 24 hours after taking office, many observers argue that she has instead aligned the DOJ with political objectives that mirror those of her former boss, President Donald Trump. During her confirmation hearing on January 15, 2025, Bondi stated emphatically, "The number one job is to enforce the law fairly and even-handedly." Her assurances aimed to quell concerns from skeptical senators about the potential for political interference in investigations and prosecutions. Bondi also committed to supporting frontline prosecutors and emphasized her intention to maintain the DOJ's independence. "Politics will not play a part," she declared, aligning her vision with the long-standing tradition of the Justice Department's autonomy established in the aftermath of the Watergate scandal. Yet within hours of her swearing-in on February 5, Bondi issued a series of directives that appeared to contradict her earlier promises. One of the most controversial actions was the establishment of a weaponization working group tasked with investigating prosecutions of Trump that the president claimed were politically motivated. Such a move raised immediate concerns about the impartiality of the DOJ, especially given Bondi's previous role defending Trump during his impeachment trial. Further complicating her stated mission was the reversal of key DOJ policies introduced under the Biden administration, including those aimed at safeguarding democratic processes from foreign influence. This shift has led to accusations that Bondi is prioritizing Trump's political agenda over the DOJ's traditional mandate to protect the rule of law. A prominent example of this alignment was her announcement at her first news conference that the DOJ would sue New York officials over immigration policies, while simultaneously dropping charges against a Trump ally, New York Mayor Eric Adams, despite serious allegations of bribery and campaign finance violations. As Bondi's Justice Department has taken these steps, numerous senior officials have been ousted or reassigned, particularly those involved in high-profile investigations related to Trump. This housecleaning has included members of special counsel Jack Smith's team, who were responsible for probing Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election results and his handling of classified documents. Critics have expressed alarm over this trend, suggesting it signals a broader effort to politicize the DOJ. Legal experts have voiced their concerns about Bondi's actions. Jeffrey Breinholt, a former senior DOJ attorney, noted that her initiatives have effectively undermined the independence of the department. He highlighted a February 9 memo that relaxed the restrictions on communication between DOJ officials and the White House traditionally intended to prevent political interference. Breinholt characterized this move as indicative of a shift towards a more politicized DOJ, warning that it raises the specter of the agency being used to further partisan objectives. Moreover, Bondi's recent initiatives have sparked backlash from within the DOJ itself. Joshua Stuvey, a spokesperson for the department, resigned, citing a hostile and toxic work environment fostered by leadership's disregard for the integrity of the agency. His resignation reflects a growing discontent among career officials at the DOJ who feel marginalized under Bondi's regime. In a further demonstration of alignment with Trump's agenda, Bondi has also been entangled in controversies surrounding the release of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, with claims that she acted on Trump's directive to release information aimed at discrediting Democrats. Such actions have led to skepticism regarding her commitment to maintaining the DOJ's traditional role as an impartial arbiter of justice. As the political landscape continues to evolve, the implications of Bondi's tenure as Attorney General remain uncertain, with many observers asserting that she has not only failed to fulfill her promise of depoliticization but has actively politicized the department. The future of the DOJ's independence hangs in the balance. As Bondi and her team pursue further investigations into perceived disloyalty within the ranks, the integrity of federal law enforcement could be at risk, posing significant questions about the rule of law in the current administration. In a pivotal moment for U.S. economic policy, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent recently addressed a gathering of influential CEOs from the Business Roundtable, advocating for the permanence of tax cuts initially enacted during President Trump's administration. As markets navigate the turbulence stemming from the administration's tariff headlines, Bessent's remarks underscore a broader strategy to stabilize investor confidence and stimulate economic growth. "It's common sense to cut taxes," Bessent stated, emphasizing the administration's commitment to making tax cuts permanent. This message comes at a time when uncertainty looms over the expiration of approximately $4.5 trillion in tax cuts from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act (TCJA) of 2017, set to expire on December 31, 2025. The TCJA notably reduced the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, a significant shift aimed at fostering business investment and growth. The urgency of addressing tax policy was echoed by New Business Roundtable Chair and Cisco CEO Chuck Robbins, who highlighted the looming threat of tax increases if the cuts are not extended. "You have got to do taxes this year because there's a lot of expiring, and if we don't do them, there's trillions of dollars in tax increases for the American citizens," Robbins warned during a recent event at the World Economic Forum. He acknowledged the complex economic landscape, noting factors such as the national deficit and rising interest rates that complicate discussions around potential tax reform. Bessent's comments also come amid debates about inflation and economic growth. In a separate interview earlier this month, he expressed confidence that inflation would decline, reaching the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. Despite rising prices over the past year, Bessent pointed to the administration's holistic approach, which includes deregulation and energy cost reductions, as key to stabilizing the economy. He dismissed concerns from economists at the Peterson Institute who argue that tariffs could exacerbate inflation, suggesting instead that the administration's policies will effectively mitigate price increases. However, the impact of tariffs remains a contentious issue. While Bessent acknowledged the complexities introduced by tariffs on imports from China, he maintained that these costs would not necessarily fall on American consumers. "China will pay for the China tariffs," he asserted, arguing that the nation's economic structure allows it to absorb the costs without significantly impacting its production levels. As the administration prepares for critical decisions on tariffs and tax policy, the stakes could not be higher for American households and businesses alike. The potential expiration of tax cuts combined with ongoing tariff debates could lead to significant economic shifts, underlining the necessity for decisive action from policymakers. Looking ahead, the discussions surrounding tax reform and tariffs will undoubtedly shape the economic landscape in the coming months. With the deadline for the expiration of tax cuts fast approaching, Bessent's push for permanence may prove crucial in steering the U.S. economy towards stability and growth. As these policies unfold, stakeholders will be watching closely to gauge their effects on both the market and the broader economic environment. In a time of significant economic uncertainty, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has stepped into the spotlight to defend President Donald Trump's aggressive tariff policies, insisting that these measures are essential for American strength and sovereignty. With fears of an impending recession looming over the U.S. economy, Lutnick's comments come at a pivotal moment as the administration continues to navigate complex trade relationships with countries such as Canada and China. On March 12, 2025, Lutnick appeared on Fox Business, where he articulated the rationale behind the administration's recent decision to impose a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports. This move is part of a broader strategy aimed at reshaping global trade dynamics to favor U.S. manufacturing. The president is here to protect American workers. He's here to protect American industry, Lutnick stated, emphasizing that the tariffs are part of a concerted effort to bolster domestic production capabilities. He dismissed concerns over rising consumer prices, attributing potential inflation instead to government spending practices under the Biden administration. The tariff policy, which extends to a wide range of downstream products, has already drawn significant international backlash. The European Commission has announced plans to impose counter-tariffs valued at around $28 billion on U.S. goods in response. Lutnick defended the administration's stance, arguing that the tariffs are not just economic tools but also vital for national security. We can't be in a war and rely on steel and aluminum from some other country. It's just not reasonable, he asserted, underscoring the administration's commitment to maintaining a robust domestic manufacturing sector. Despite the administration's unified front, Lutnick has faced criticism from within Trump's circle. Reports indicate that some allies of the president are increasingly frustrated with Lutnick's handling of the tariff situation, viewing him as overly ambitious and at times contradictory to the administration's messaging. A source cited in Politico remarked, "He's trying to be a mini Trump. I don't think he got the memo that only Trump gets to be Trump," highlighting the tension and confusion surrounding the administration's tariff strategy. In the face of potential economic fallout, including rising prices for aluminum, steel, and copper, Lutnick remains resolute. He has acknowledged that production in these sectors is currently operating at only 50 to 55% capacity, but aims to increase that to 80% through the tariffs. As the administration grapples with internal dissent and external pressures, Lutnick's commitment to Trump's tariff agenda will undoubtedly be tested in the weeks and months ahead. Looking forward, the ongoing debates surrounding tariffs and their implications for the U.S. economy will likely continue to be a contentious topic as the administration seeks to balance its protectionist approach with the realities of global trade. As Lutnick and Trump push for increased domestic production, the response from affected industries and international partners will shape the trajectory of U.S. trade policy and its economic landscape. With the administration's aggressive stance, the outcomes of these policies could redefine not just America's manufacturing landscape but also its role in the global economy.